thank you very much. Thank you. You all have a great time last night? Okay. I'm going to start off. I have a confession to make. My wife's very nervous. It is incredibly difficult to buy a Christmas present for me. Really difficult. Every year, my mother-in-law will ask me, "What do you want for Christmas?" Every year, I say to her the same thing, "I want world peace." And she'll say, "You know, that's a tall order, but I'll see what I can do." But I'm obsessed with this idea that is there a way we could get human beings to stop trying to kill each other? That's it. Really simple. How do we do that? So for years, we have been stimulating the body with light. That's how these patches work. We gently stimulate the body with light, and we produce these amazing effects. But what if we could take light inside of our body? What if there was a way we could create a technology that would release light from within? Today, you're going to see that technology. This day, this weekend, marks the next generation of LifeWave. The first 20 years have all been about LifeWave technology and patches. Now we are going to expand on that. Instead of just stimulating the body with light, we are going to explore an entirely new generation of light therapy technology. So, what benefits could we expect to see from this? First thing is, this technology is an entirely new way to elevate NAD. So at least some of you know that, what that is. So NAD is a key molecule involved in age reversal. And it is an energy-carrying molecule within the cell. If we can elevate NAD, we can turn on energy production, we can reset genes to a more youthful state. The next thing that we find with this technology is that we can support healthy levels of human growth hormone, keeping us young and healthy. We can regain and build new strength, stamina, and muscle with this. And the results are really shocking about how quickly this happens. When we're ramping up energy production, we are supporting the natural healing process. And you're going to see that one of the things that we can do with this is turn on the production of collagen. And ultimately, we will use this technology to stay younger longer. So increasing NAD, supporting growth hormone levels, more strength and muscle, natural healing, and living younger longer. These are 5 new benefits that are all coming from one new machine. So today, you are going to meet our new LifeWave water technology. There is a lot of information that we're going to present. I'm going to go through some of this very quickly. So if you want to take pictures, feel free to do that. So how do we go about and create an entirely new technology surrounding water? There have been structured water products that have already been on the market for many years. We can add different types of minerals to water. We can change the surface tension of water. is there anything else new that we could do that would be meaningful? Well, let's take a look and start at the very beginning and talk about composition of matter. So this is the periodic table. Each of the elements, you can think of it as a building block. So this is what we have to work with in the spectra of creating new materials. Let's start with something very simple. Let's start with tin. Tin is a relatively simple element. It's used in electronics, and pretty much everything that someone who is a chemist or a physicist would want to know about tin is already well known. We take tin and we combine it with oxygen in the presence of heat, and we get a tin oxide. Nothing entirely remarkable about this. It's extremely well known. But we created a device in our lab. I have multiple patents on this now. And we expose the tin and the oxygen to a very special type of electromagnetic and longitudinal field. And this will change the bond angle between the oxygen and the tin, creating something that looks like gold, and creating a material that never existed before. And here's the really interesting part. By changing the frequencies or changing the wavelengths of light that we work with, we can change the bond angle. Now, when you have light reflecting off of a surface, that's how you're going to get color. And so by changing the bond angle, we change the angle at which light is going to reflect off that surface, and as a result, we can change the color. So we've made these metals that look like gold, orange, red, blue, purple, just by changing and manipulating the matter with frequencies of energy. So we did something really fun. We created a LifeWave 20th anniversary coin from this material that never existed before, and we gave this coin to our qualified senior presidential directors. Okay, so very quickly, here is a laboratory report that we did. So when we are going to run these tests, how do we know that this material never existed before? Well, quite simply, we hired a laboratory. We used a technique called X-ray diffraction. We sent the material out, and it came back, as you can see here, unknown phase. So they compared this material to 60,000 other materials and found out that it had never existed before. And you can see a peak on the left that's showing that it's novel and unique. And then here is a laboratory report. No tin or tin oxide reference patterns matched this phase. So a unique, novel material. Okay. So here's the important thing, is that these experiments showed that we could manipulate matter with energy. We could create new matter. That's an extraordinarily powerful tool. So the question is, what are we going to do with this new technology? What frequencies would we use and why? That's a pretty good question. We should have a mathematical model for this. My dad is a music teacher, so I grew up around music. And when we look at the musical scale, we see the musical scale is based off of 440 hertz tuning. And so if we were to look at the frequencies which are associated with the musical scale, we can see them listed over here. And you'll notice immediately this is a little bit unusual, right? Why do we have all of these odd numbers? It looks very, very random. And we see that this musical scale came in 1834 from the German natural scientists. Seems kind of unusual that they would create this 440 hertz tuning. Well, is there a way that we could mathematically extrapolate what musical tuning should be based on. So let's do this. We take a chart, and on the vertical column, we're going to put the number 2, horizontal column, we're going to take the number 3. And all we're going to do is we're going to double the numbers on the vertical column, and we're going to triple the numbers over on the horizontal column. And then we're going to take the product of each. So in other words, 2 times 3 is 6, 4 times 3 is 12, and so forth. And we continue to fill out these columns this way. Okay. Now, as we're creating this chart, we get to the number 432. So 432 is very close to 440. So let's see if we could create a musical scale based on 432 hertz instead of 440 hertz. Thank you. Wasn't my idea, but I appreciate it anyway. Now, here's another thing that's very interesting. I have a friend, Terry McGrath, who is a physicist, and he has a patent called the Physical Quantum Atomic Model of the Atom. And in that model, an atom, you never heard of that before? Am I the only one that did the homework? My goodness. Okay. So 108 is the number of resonant nodes within an atom. So this starts to make sense. In other words, if you want to affect matter, you should have a model that allows for manipulating the atom with resonance. And that would be based on 108 hertz, or 108 nodes within the atom. So this started to look very promising. So now we have our existing musical scale based on 440, and now we look over at 432. What would that look like? So we just simply go to our chart, and we fill it out based on the frequencies that are in each column. So in other words, when you take the vertical column based on 2, or the horizontal row based on 3, and then you multiply that and get the product, what you end up with, each column represents a different musical note. And everything fits perfectly. And of course, in music, we have a note A at 432. If we go up an octave, the next frequency is 864. Or, of course, we can take any harmonic of that. So it could be 108, 256, 432, 864, and so forth. So there's our new musical scale. So how can we apply this information? Well, here's what we did. We created this device called a double helix conductor. And if we're going to try to work with the natural world, then let's have an electromagnetic field that nature would use. So in this case, a double helix, DNA. So the idea was that we were going to take these musical notes and musical frequencies and plug them through this device and see if we could have any effect on matter. So one of the things we want to do is heal people faster. We want to increase protein synthesis. So at the time, we were in California. And as it turns out, when you're in California and you want to grow plants, there's a number of companies that are very interested in accelerating the growth rate of plants. It's very easy to work with these companies and do experiments. So that's what we did. If I could do a Bill Clinton impersonation now, I would. I never smoked, never inhaled, or however that goes. That was terrible. That was more like Trump. That wasn't Clinton. All right. I'm not going to do a Trump impression, honey, don't worry. So this is what we did. We had our control group. They kind of look like Christmas trees. And we have our treatment group. And you can see right away what we found was that exposing these plants to these energy fields increased the rate of protein synthesis. This is extremely important. And we can see if we look at this and treat an entire column of plants, we can get this effect. So commercially, this has a value. Now, of course, we want to apply this to human beings. So we did this work at the National University of Ireland in Galway, and we worked with the Regenerative Medicine Institute, Dr. Tim O'Brien. And this was an experiment that we did with rabbits. So these rabbits had diabetic ulcerations. We applied this field, and right away, we found that we could accelerate the rate of repair in this open wound using this technology. So this was the first evidence that we had, that there was a way that you could, without any stem cells injections, without any drugs, just using energy, you could accelerate the way that people would heal. So our focus now, of course, we went through many years of selling X39 and doing multiple studies on X39, showing how it activates stem cells and improves healing. Now our goal is a little bit different. We're still interested in accelerating the rate at which people heal, but now what we want to look at is, can we apply these techniques to longevity? Can we stop the human aging process? Can we keep people younger longer? How are we going to do this? And are there any examples in nature? So one of the things that we did is we take a biomimetic view, meaning we want to look to nature and see if we can copy nature and create new technology. So one of the examples that we used were temnothorax ants. Temnothorax ants, they get infected with a parasite, and as a result, it alters their gene expression, so they overexpress cytochrome C oxidase, and as a result, mitochondrial function gets upregulated. They end up producing more ATP. And in the process, they live 5 to 6 times longer than normal. So could we apply this technology? So here was the control group. We took a gel and a growth media that's used for cultivating ants, and we populated the media with ants. So they went to work producing tunnels. Then we took our treatment group and we exposed them to this energy field. And that's what happened. So we were able to show that we could take a mechanical device and transfer energy from that device over to a living system where it would increase the energy in the ant, and the ant could end up doing more useful work.